Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Divine Beehive Lounge, happening today at the Rabbit Hole, which is my private sewing room, costume storage, and gym. I will post a video with a tour afterwards, so you'll get to see this place. And yeah, I'm here for chapter 4 today. And chapter 4 was one of my favorites of all times. So I talk about it a lot. And what I love about this is sometimes I talk about things that, of course, are somehow related to performing and the stage and burlesque, but a lot about my lifestyle and the way I see life, right? My point of view. But this one is kind of a perfect marriage. It's something that I could see and I can see on stage, but at the same time, it's something that just applies to life in general in a very seamless way. So I really like this one. And it's all about stage fright. And we all have stage fright at different levels. And it can manifest on stage. Maybe you're very good at dealing with that, so it feels very far from your reality. Or maybe you have a lot of it, and maybe it's something that actually keeps you from going on stage. We all have different levels. And what is really interesting is there is a very, I want to say behind the scenes, behind the curtains, subconscious connection between stage fright for actual like performers, someone who speaks in public, someone who goes on stage, someone who is an athlete, and someone who doesn't do any of that. Maybe you just have a job in which you're never really, in the spotlight, but we all go through that because anytime that you feel seen, you feel stage fright. And that can be from your social life. Maybe it's going on a date for the first time, or simply traveling and walking into a hotel you've never been. And then people look at you, or getting to a restaurant, or if you have a business, having a new client come in, and then you have to come and introduce yourself to someone new. And it can just be a party, like any social situation can potentially trigger stage fright in us. And the interesting thing is, we all know that by putting yourself into the situations is how you're going to start nailing it. So for the people who have like the least stage fright, or maybe they even believe they don't have any anymore because, they've been doing that for so long. Usually that's what people will say, right? Like, oh yeah, but I go on stage 5 times a week and I've been doing that for 20 years. So, it's gone. To be honest, I never heard that. But let's say I don't know everybody, right? So I'm sure some people out there don't even think about stage fright anymore. And the talk is always about experience. Just get yourself there. Just get yourself out there. Just do more of it. Just do more of it. Just do more of it. And the thing is, yeah, sure, like doing more of it's great. But there is several caveats to that. So one of them is maybe you don't get a chance to. Like, it's not something you can take for granted, the chance to go on stage. You gotta find a gig, or you gotta create a gig yourself, or you gotta do something really special that people will hire you for that, develop a skill. So even though, some people are really good, they don't get that much stage time. How many performers who are full-time performers? It's not for everybody. Many people need to have a 9 to 5 job and then they can perform, in the evenings. And that means that you're going to have a few performances a year, which is not a lot of training, right? Or you can try and mimic that, which is not easy either, because you can practice as much as you want in front of a mirror. It's never the same as practicing in front of other people. It's not the same as practicing in front of friends or someone you trust. And these are all different things as well. Practicing sometimes in front of people is way more nerve-wracking than putting on a show for a big audience and nobody there. That actually, it feels easier. So it is very interesting. It's as like every other skill, it requires a lot of practice to get better at it. And at the same time, getting that practice is not as easy as it sounds. And you get more practice, the better you are. But the better you are, the easier it is also to get those practices, So when you are beginning, especially, it's super hard because you have to get over a huge amount of stage fright normally with very little experience. And the more experience you get, the less you have to overcome. But then also you don't care that much because you just have a lot of chances to do that. It's almost unfair when you think of it. So here is a few things that I would like to give you as a hint and advice for both actual performances, but also for just live performances. Like just being better at getting to a party, just being better at networking, and just calming yourself down in your nervous system so that things don't feel so overwhelming. Because trust me, networking and knowing how to deal with people is a skill that you cannot neglect. It is really, really good. Regardless, honestly, of what you do, it is a super cool and super important skill to have. So first thing, how can stage fright manifest? There are several ways, right? The first thing that you can think that I can give you is the flight or fight response. So this is the most common way, actually. When you go on stage or when you walk into a new cafe or you walk into a party and the first thing that you do is you quickly find the corner and you get into the corner. If you go on stage, you have a performance and you just speed up your dance and suddenly you are ahead of your music. You are way too quick. That's your flight response, right? It's pretty much your body trying to speed up and get quicker because you just want to be done with. You want this feeling to go away. You want the eyes to stop looking at you if you're getting to a cafe, and then you go to the corner and then people get distracted by something else. Or if it's a party, and then someone opens the door and comes in and all eyes are on them, and then you just want these eyes to go away. So you find yourself a place to hide as quickly as possible. And the stage is, as soon as I finish my routine, I'm out of here. That's why your body usually speeds up when you perform. So that's the first response. That's, I would say, in my experience, one of the most common ways that stage fright shows up, for people. Then we have the fight response. And that's actually not that common, but it can happen. I've seen it. I had a few students like that. And it's that aggressive energy. So because you feel threatened in some way, remember, our brains are quite primitive, right? So if you are feeling stressed by going on stage, or you're feeling super stressed by just walking into a party, that's something that your brain cannot distinguish from I'm actually stressed because my life is in danger. So you want to show yourself as I'm not weak, actually, and you should be afraid of me because that's your okay, I have to protect myself, so I'll just try to make sure that I look bigger than I am, right? And that can read and in performances, and even like I've seen that in really, really big performers, like famous performers in burlesque. It just gives me such an off vibe. I just don't want to be there, you know. It shows off very aggressive. So there is a difference between a movement that is powerful and sharp and on point, and a movement that's plain aggressive and too strong, and it has this repulsive energy, as in I want to repel you, I don't want you near me, you know. And that can just put people off, you know. So in other circumstances in life, if you give that vibe, you know, like you walk into a place and then immediately you feel the need to show like you're and that's all subconscious, huh? I'm not saying that anyone would do that willingly, right? It's not like, oh no, I want to look threatening, you know, like, well, maybe you're doing some circumstances, but I'm talking about most of the time, you know, regular life, not an actual threatening situation, just a situation in which your body feels threatened, even though the threat might just be like social, and sometimes it's not even there. Our brain is just fabricating it. So it just like gives off, you know, like I've seen, sometimes I see that in the way some men walk, when they're walking and then they have this, the legs spread and then they have this hip forward and they just look so aggressive, so unwelcoming, so unfriendly. And you just put off a lot of people, right? And again, maybe that's what they want, but maybe that's something that you do without noticing, you know, that you're doing that. And that can happen, you know, maybe we give off some energy that we don't realize. So this is the fight response. That would be, of course, I'm feeling threatened, therefore, look how big I am, look at how aggressive I am. And it makes you feel safe internally. And there is a third reaction that we don't always talk about, but it's very real and it happens a lot too. Pretty much, I would say even more than the fight. The fight is the one I see the least, to be honest, which is the freeze response. And the freeze is the same, you know, like just it can happen to everybody. And it happens in actual, you know, threatening situations, actual danger. You don't know what to do, or you're in shock, you know. And on a performance, it looks as you forget. So maybe you forget your choreography. That's a freeze response. You literally freeze. That can happen as well. And the same in life situations, right? It's one of the reasons why so many people forget other people's names when they're introduced to them, because they're so frozen. So it's a mix of a little bit of flight, because they want to like just get away, you know, like, yeah, I had enough. And at the same time, it's freeze because you're not receiving anything, right? You're just frozen. There is this kind of ice, you know, like in front of you, and nothing is coming in. So people can be giving you cues, but they're hitting, you know, this ice wall in front of you, and not, it doesn't reach you. So maybe someone tells their name or something very interesting, and that's also why we call things break the ice. And I'm just saying that because that's what I believe. You know, like Don't quote me. I don't know if it's a fact, but this is a connection that my brain makes. It's like, okay, because you're frozen, and then it makes like everybody's frozen, new situation. And then we do this breaking the ice kind of thing, which is, oh, so people leave the frozen stat, and then they move on to, a warmer, I'm here kind of present situation. So these are the three things that I see. Maybe there is even more, but those are the three that I usually see and like to work with because it covers a big part of what happens. Now, why I find the stage and coming out of your shell and trying something new, maybe like burlesque, so important and so cool. It's because, let's be honest, sure, we are, or, maybe you are in burlesque too. And of course, I want to keep developing and becoming a better and better performer each time. And working at those things will definitely make me a better performer. But life in general is the same. I want to, and maybe most of you just want to be better and more chill at life. I find that, of course, we went through and all of those things, but I think that one thing that really I see that is a continuum, and it's something that we mostly share as humanity, regardless of cultural background, where you are in the world. It's your age, your religion, or any of those things. I think one thing we can all share is we want ease. Nobody wants to struggle, right? Maybe you like a little drama. Maybe, you like a little spice. Maybe you like a little danger. Maybe you like just chill, really. But ease. Nobody likes to go through difficulty, right? None of us likes to feel unsafe. We want the ease of feeling, I can deal with that, right? And I feel like we can start small, and there are techniques that you can use that can take you from whatever you are right now. Even if you have zero ease, you are like very anxious, very stressed all the time. Or if you are closer to like, oh, actually, I have a lot of ease, but always good to have more. Like, ease is such a good feeling, right? Which is microdosing. Because what happens is we have, firstly, as I said before, our brain is kind of used to trying to protect us, right? So it's part of us to feel afraid of things. It's what keeps us alive, right? It's what will keep you from running into fire or whatever. Trying to get yourself out of dangerous situations. So it's good to have some level of that primitive brain keeping us alive. However, in modern life, it's very important that we realize that not everything translates the way our brain is wired to translate. Therefore, having I want to say subconscious and paralyzing fear of social situations is probably not good for you. And you probably want to get over that. And honestly, it's not as dangerous as it was before. Maybe your brain doesn't know that, but if you just don't belong to a group, there will be another group, right? We all have our tribes. And in the modern world, we have our tribes in person, but we can also have our tribes online. There is there is so many ways of belonging to a community. And honestly, even if you're a lone wolf, that doesn't mean you're going to starve to death, right? You can have your own job, your own money, and get your stuff. You don't have to be super fluent and a huge part of a group so that you are safe. But your brain might not know that. And of course, there is on top of that other circumstances, especially if you're a woman or a minority of any kind. Maybe we're told before by situations that you've been through how unsafe it is sometimes to just be who you are. Maybe we're quirky. Maybe you had a different skin color. Maybe you had a different facial trait. Or maybe you spoke a different language, or maybe you didn't look the way other people looked, or maybe there is so much, or maybe you're a woman and we know the world out there for women, right? So you learned, and of course, your brain keeps track of that, your body keeps track of that. So you learn how unsafe it is, all of those things. Then it comes to burlesque, of course. And you get into a room with other women. Or actually, burlesque is for everybody. I'm talking from my personal experience. Everybody is accepted and welcome at my studio. But turns out that most that come are women. And you feel, like you have all of your things and the way your brain is still wired and all. But then you try to do something that you might have been told before, or somehow the world has shown you that it wasn't good. Maybe you start feeling a little sexy. Maybe you start trying something new, like taking off something. And instead of being ridiculed or feeling unsafe, you actually feel safe and empowered and supported by other people around you. This is just a little signal that, oh, it's okay to do that. Oh, it's okay to be like this. And those things compound. So I'm a big fan of get yourself into small, safe, uncomfortable situations as you're beginning. That's your beginner level. That's level 1 or level 0, as I like to say. So it could be a dance class. It could be a burlesque class. It could be maybe getting into a party, like finding an online event you would like to attend, going to a new restaurant. But small situations like that. And just do it with intention. Meaning, take this with you. Take what I'm saying with you. Think, okay, I'm going to this restaurant today and I'm going alone. And my intention is to create a lot of moments for myself and for my brain to remember that everything is okay and I'm safe. So when you walk into the restaurant, maybe, you're nervous and everything, you do what you can. Then you sit at a table, and then you're there, and then you breathe. And then intentionally think, okay, I'll look around. Okay, people are eating. Do I like the decor? How do I like the menu? And I'll not rush because I don't want to do, like a flight response. I don't have to rush. I have the whole evening for myself. And then I don't have to be posing or trying to be bigger because nothing is threatening here. I am safe. I'm in a place that I know. I'm just around the corner from my house. And I don't need to freeze, the server can come, and then if I'm not ready, I can say I'm ready. So make it a very intentional experience for yourself. You can even bring a friend. I think that would be cool. I don't really like doing those things with someone else because, first, I am a lone wolf. But also, I think for me, it interferes in that because I'm also worried about the other person. So for me, it's an extra layer. So I'd rather do those things alone, but I know that not everybody is like me. So if you prefer, bring a friend, it could be an exercise for both of you. If you are into burlesque, maybe start small. Maybe see if you can get a few girls or a few people from your studio to perform to. Maybe your studio offers rehearsals or showcases, and that's a small chance, of doing something before you step on a big stage. And remember that sometimes I even like to journal maybe after the experience because you can always go and be like, how was it? Did I speed up here? Can I take a breath? And it's a long journey, depending on where you are. But it's a really fun journey too. And suddenly you can just feel very comfortable doing something that you couldn't expect before, that you wouldn't expect before. So when I watch one of my first performances and I watch one of my last performances, I'm always so proud of myself because I can really tell how, it's like, sure, maybe there is some technical things I want to improve. There is something I'm not super happy with. I'm always on the journey to improve. But there is so much safety and comfort that I can really read from myself on stage. And that's huge, huge for me, huge. So yeah, if you're into, and probably if you're here on my channel watching this video, you are into self-improvement. So this is, I think, my letter for today. This was my chapter 4. The life-threatening thing. Yes. Yeah, your body learns it. Yeah, so that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. And I'll see you in our next chapter. Bye.